Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland, being joined by Tommy Marquez. Tommy, how you doing?
I am good.
Back from SoCal and featuring Lauren Khalil. Lauren, how are you?
I am good. I had my pumpkin spice latte to start my day.
Oh, God.
So
What's all right?
We're doing great.
What's the temperature there?
The temperature, like 62.
All right, we'll accept it.
No.
I'll
You
accept it.
said
I'll
when it's in the
accept it.
60s, Sean.
Yeah,
I'll
let's
accept
not
it.
have this rabbit hole again.
That's fine. I'll accept it. All right. That's good for you. All right.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you're feeling good. Well, today we're going to recap our experience at Wodapalooza and talk about what we think it could be moving forward and what we think it should be moving forward. And we're going to talk to our good friend, the 8-time now seeded with hip function champion in the adaptive division, Tom Miazga. Always a pleasure to talk to Tom. Great dude. He's going to recap his experience in San Antonio because the Adaptive CrossFit Games were the same weekend as Wodapalooza, and we were down there at TYR Wodapalooza and didn't have a chance to see much of what was going on with the Adaptive Games, so we wanted to bring Tom on and have him talk about the experience, and he's just a fantastic human being anyway, so we said, sure, let's have him on. Before we get going, though, we want to thank our sponsor for today. That is Box Basics. They are your ultimate online store for cross-training shoes. And right now, you can score a sweet 20% discount off of everything. Just head over to shopboxbasics.com. Use the code TEF. They have a killer selection of shoes like Nike, TYR, Strike Movement, Reebok, and more. Basically, if it goes on your feet and you can train in it, they've got it. Plus, they offer fast and free shipping across the United States and super easy returns and exchanges. Their customer service is second to none. It is absolutely incredible. Steven and Justin, the guys who run that business, are fantastic human beings, and they will do everything in their power to make sure that you are 100% satisfied regardless of what your order is. So go to shopboxbasics.com. Use the code TEF for 20% off because that sale ends soon. So gear up with Box Basics. Shopboxbasics.com. The code is TEF. Get your gear before the deal is gone. Love the guys at Box Basics, man. They are just awesome. So if you want to support
The best humans.
Support a good, yep, Tommy's camera's battery's dead, so he's going to reset that, so we're just going to keep going here. Yeah, support a good business. They do it the right way. Customer service, good customer service is it don't exist much nowadays. And when it does, you should support that organization.
You get a real human with
you
them.
Look, when they send us stuff, they included a handwritten note. Like, how often do you get that? That's a
love
big deal.
language. Check.
That's a big deal. All right. So all you kids out there that are looking for jobs and interviewing, always send a handwritten note afterwards. Trust me.
It goes a long way.
That's a personal touch.
It does. It absolutely does. All right, let's get into TYR Wodapalooza SoCal, because the three of us had sort of different views of all this. I was tied up on the broadcast side of things. I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time walking around, kind of experiencing the vibe. But I was really dialed into the event itself as far as the TYR Cup is concerned. You two, on the other hand, were out, glad handing with the people and giving out goodies and putting up all kinds of great stuff on social media, talking to athletes. Overall, we can just go around the horn here. We'll start with you, Tommy. What did you think of the event as a whole?
Footprint, great. Setup around the area, great. Timing of the competition, not so great. Could use improvement. Format of the competition, awesome.
Yes.
That's kind of a short and sweet version. Location, Huntington Beach, right on the pier, is great. I think if it, with an improved cadence of like communication and getting word of mouth out there and people experiencing for the first time, it could be an awesome place like moving forward, right? Yeah. Like a true vacation style party, relaxing venue where you can get a little bit of everything that you want, regardless of how you show up to the event. The timing of the TYR Cup, which was their marquee event, didn't love the late evenings. Yeah. I think we said this in previous episodes. Having it start basically after sundown removes the benefit of the location, right? Visually. when it's at night and you just you have to blast it with light. It looks the same just about everywhere else, and you don't have the sky, like the backdrop that Miami has with the skyline.
Right.
Mhm.
So I think towards the end of the Sunday, having some competition during the day and maybe saving one for right around dusk as the sun sets with the golden hour would be cool. Probably require a little effort on the camera guys' parts, make sure exposure and the visual looks good. But I think you could space it out in a better way where maybe it goes from like 5:30 to
Noon to
7:30.
Noon to 3.
Noon to 3.
Okay.
Because especially when we have North America versus world, the rest of the world was asleep as
Good
the
point.
live stream was happening.
Yeah.
So you're
Sure,
just canceling out a huge portion of people who want to watch these athletes throw down. So moving it up so you can find like the best time where you can maximize
Good point.
viewership.
Yeah,
Agreed.
noon to 3 probably makes more sense. And then that actually gives time to everyone gets up in the morning anyways and is like kind of ready to go, right? Like, so I guess by the time you get done with that, you actually have time to go enjoy like
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of your day before. Cause like athletes were like, we wanted to be in bed by now, by the time the last competition's going. And so like you get done at 3, you have some cool down time. You can actually go get a nice dinner somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
like go scope it out. And if the competition looming late in the day, you're not doing much like leisure time to begin with. So yeah, I think that's probably better. That's a good point, Lauren.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand the
Well, and-
intent of it, but of wanting to do it at night, like totally get that. But I think and look, Dylan and that crew they're smart, they'll look at it. And I think that it just would be better during the day in that setting.
Yeah.
And I think a way to
go ahead.
Just another way to fill those seats more is then the community divisions that were also competing there. I feel like a lot of them left and didn't stick around to watch the elites because they got to compete the next morning. They got to go home. They got to go to bed. If you had it right smack dab in the middle of the day, you would trickle in some of those spectators as well, which would give them the opportunity to watch them compete. But overall, just speaking to the athletes and speaking to managers and coaches, the experience for the athletes was overwhelmingly positive. I mean, Tommy, when you spoke to Tia and her just talking about the passion, getting back into the athletes, I mean, that is, in my opinion, a home run and the best possible situation to grow this thing and continue it in years to come.
No doubt. Yeah, I think that's a big piece of it for sure.
And we're going to hear from Tia in just a second here. But before we do that, and we're going to hear from Pat Vellner as well. So this is where I didn't get to see a lot, but just like the vibe, I got a little bit of it in Vendor Village, just the fans, sort of the community thing. I mean, it felt pretty good when I was out there. It felt like people were having a good time. Like there was a lot to do. It wasn't, I don't think they had the footprint that Wodapalooza Miami has,
No.
but you didn't need a ticket to get into Vendor Village. You could just go hang out. So anybody who wanted to come check it out could. I think that's a smart idea. What did you guys think about that? About the vibe?
Yeah, I think it was a good first step, right? Like Vendor Village probably wasn't as robust as people going to Wodapalooza would expect, but I think there was a decent amount of foot traffic, and I think if you're trying to aim to replicate Wodapalooza Miami, an event that's 13 years somewhere ish,
Has it been that
10-ish
long?
years. It's probably
This will be the 13th year.
Yeah.
No, because remember, Noah Olsen gave a speech
That's
on
right,
the 10th
yeah.
year, which I think was 2 years ago.
And they missed 1 year. It was 2020. I think they missed, right?
Yeah. So I think trying to expect that would, be a little premature, but just being able to have the space feel like it was occupied and have people coming through and I think the volleyball court in the middle of it was smart. So people are out
That
there
was
great
playing.
idea.
Yeah.
People played all day.
Mm-hmm. Was good. I think it was just it was a good first step,
Yeah.
And hopefully vendors got their money's worth, whatever that may be. And that's something you can maybe build on moving forward. That's really just kind of what it felt like. It was like Vendor Village wasn't like massive, but it wasn't small either. And there were options, and there was a pretty good shopping experience, and people seemed to respond well to just the environment as a whole. So, and if Vanderbilt being small, there's a ton of other shopping and things around the area. So you could always occupy your time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, let's shift our focus to the Tier Cup, and we'll call up our first interview here, and that's with Tia Toomey. So let's hear what she had to say about this, about the end here.
It was amazing. Obviously we didn't get the result that we wanted, but one point that, determined whether or not we won or lost. And I just felt like the team really pushed to the very end, even though, it was kind of locked up by the end. But the team dynamic for World was just so fun, and we were just talking about it. Like, despite the placing, we all came here for what we wanted. A lot of athletes were a little bit unsure of what their future looked like in the sport of CrossFit. They weren't sure if they wanted to still be a CrossFit athlete and everything. And so it's really reassuring that after this weekend, they still love competing. They still love, the adrenaline that competition brings. And I think it ignited a lot of fire in each individual's, body. So that's really, really nice to hear. And I think it's a huge compliment to the event organizers, the team, and just everyone that was involved, because it was just such a positive thing, especially with so much going on. And for our team, obviously Lazar was definitely going to be a part of our team. So I felt like throughout the weekend, we would always say hey, this is for Lazar, and we were trying to just dig deep. And even I think we had to sub out BKG for one of the workouts and put Guy in. And even Guy said it beautifully. He said, I just know that that's what Lazar would have done. And he was with him through that workout. And even though he wasn't expecting to do that workout, he just took one for the team and did his absolute best. And it really paid off. So, all in all, it was such a fantastic weekend. I had the best time. My family had the best time. And, that's really that anyone can ask for. And I really love the friends that I've created this weekend in my team.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, you mentioned some of the athletes, a little bit unsure about their future, but you're here in a leadership role and as a tenured athlete, for you getting to be a part of that, maybe that rediscovery of the love and passion, as someone that's been in it so long, where does that sit for you?
I think honestly really rewarding, and also a huge honor to be captain of the team as well. I am just really grateful that I've been able to show the guys what they're capable of. There were a few unsure workouts that we paired the athletes up to, and it was just the belief in themselves. They just needed someone else to show them and believe in them. And I think I've definitely throughout the weekend been able to do that and help them really understand how important it is to visualize and see themselves as champions, to see themselves as athletes that are capable than more than what they realize.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just really rewarding, and it's just really cool to see their journey and just be a part of it in such a small way. I'm really looking forward to the new season ahead for them.
Yeah, totally. And one of my favorite moments of the weekend was Gracie's run, and the last 100 meters, I think you were locked eye to eye. You couldn't have been more than a foot from her, and you were up and down in her face. I mean, how did that moment come to be? Was it just pure adrenaline for you, or was it something you were aware of?
I mean, that was just pure adrenaline. I get a little bit passionate, but that is that was probably the hardest workout of the weekend, and Gracie stepped up, and same with Brent. And the run was, she knew she had the bike, the burpees, she just had to hang on, but the run she was the most worried for. And I just had to show her she can do it, even though she thinks that she's doesn't have any more to give. And I think I was just trying to be a bit of a distraction, just so she wasn't focusing on the lactic buildup in that workout, and just trying to remind her just pump your arms, and I think I probably was a little bit much, but you know what, that's just being a team player. And I mean, she's okay now, so that's the main thing. But she really gave it some, and she beat Emily Rolfe on a runner.
Yeah,
come on,
no doubt, that's something to hang your hat on.
It really is.
And I'll be honest, it wasn't too much at all. It felt like the right amount of energy. and I think everyone responded to it in a really cool way. And it was awesome to see. But
I was so fatigued before the workout. I was like, oh my goodness, what did I do? But yeah, no, it was fantastic.
awesome weekend, Tia. Thanks as always for being a leader and doing what you do and giving all of us something to shoot for.
Good. Thank you so much.
All right, that's Tia Toomey following the Tier Cup competition. And I like, because we're going to hear from Pat Vellner here in a second, but I really like what she said about just reigniting the passion for it, because I think a lot of people who watched that kind of just spectators felt the same way. It's like, oh, this can be fun again. And this is a cool format in which to do it. And I will talk more about it in a second. I think the format is a big win and something that the sport should lean into moving forward.
Yeah, that was something that was alluded to by athletes a couple of times throughout the weekend, that like their future in the sport and really like whether or not that wanted to be something that they pursued long term, or even for like short term as a career and as a physical pursuit for them. Just it was like up in the air, right? I don't want to like get too hyperbolic, but like if you've ever seen kind of like the light and passion go out in someone's eyes, like that was kind of like what the lasting, lingering like effect and feeling from when we left Fort Worth, right? Like a lot of athletes just didn't have it. And there was maybe a little bit of that lingering to start the weekend, but like some hope. And then as the weekend came along and you started to see them interact and spend time with each other behind the scenes. And speaking with Jeff Adler, he put it really well. Like on the competition floor, it was competition. But the minute we were off, it was almost like therapeutic a little bit. Yeah. And like there was kind of hobnobbing and trash talking in a way that was like very conducive and uplifting to people, just because it like allowed you to kind of sink your teeth in from a passion perspective. And it reminded you that you do love the sport and that it's something that like we've poured a lot of time into, and it still gives back something to us, even if we're not happy with the way, some of the things that have transpired lately.
Yeah. And even when Brent Fikowski at the end of the weekend came over to us and he said something along the lines, it's just nice to see people smile again. I think that was a huge thing, and giving the athletes an environment where they can compete and they can put it all on the floor, and there's a lot of money on the line, but then be able to, get to know some of their teammates on maybe a more intimate level, because instead of being competitors, now they're teammates, they have to strategize and work together. I just think that it was the perfect way to bring that spark back, bring the fire back to some of these athletes who might have been feeling a certain way, rightly so, after the games.
All right, well, let's hear from Pat Vellner right now.
Pat, congratulations.
Thank you.
A very different weekend of competing, but what do you think the highlight moment of being with this team was?
Today was a big day. Today was like we kind of were up and down trading points all weekend, and then this morning was a bit of a come together in the morning moment, being like, look, we got to string together a few, and if we can go, the whole plan today was like, we got to win the beach. The whole weekend hinges on that, and we need 6 points by the end of the monostructural event, and then we had to make a double substitution, and we were going to sacrifice Danielle and I in the Captain's Challenge to win the weekend before the Captain's Challenge. So the whole day today was hinging on like, we need those 3 points early, and we made some plans, and everybody stepped into like specific roles, and the whole team came together and embraced those positions really well. Whereas I feel like a lot of the rest of the weekend, it was like pieces of really good, and then a big miss, and then something really good, and then a bad error. And today everybody came together awesome, and it was cool to see that like when it mattered for the weekend, everybody just really stepped into position, and it was awesome. So.
And then another win or award that you received today was the Lazar Jukic MVP award.
Yeah.
Being so close to the games, getting the award, what does it mean to be able to keep his name out here and continue to have his memory forefront?
It's awesome. Like, that's super cool for us, and I think it's so recent it feels weird, right? Like, it feels to have a like in memoriam award for my friend is weird, to be honest. I feel like the videos we saw throughout the weekend with him, some of the videos are like months old, right? Like it just feels like barely feels real still. So I don't know. I think as someone who is a good friend of his, I think it's awesome, and I feel really privileged to have it. You know, I think it's funny because I think I won it for talking a lot of shit and doing whatever and just having some fun with the competition, right? Which is awesome. But I think also what's important about the award is it's not just an MVP award, but it's sort of an award for attitude and the way you make people feel, and I think that those things are just as important. And I think being voted on it by a group of peers as well is hugely important. So that means a lot to me. I think even as someone who's getting to the end of their career, to feel like groups of athletes are like, you know, grateful for what you've done in some way, right, and appreciate having you around is really, really cool. So, you know, we hope that this award continues to be what it is and be something that people want to get for years, right? Like be something that people strive to and something that they want to be like. So if we can be that and have people want to be like Lazar, that's the best we could ever do for them.
All right, Pat Vellner following North America's win at the Tier Cup. And I think that obviously Lazar's death is going to loom over this sport for a while. But it seemed like it was more of a, people are looking back at him and what he meant to the sport. And like you heard Pat say, I'm kind of struggling through the point I'm trying to make here, but more about emulating him and how we're moving forward now, as opposed to let's look back. There was more of a, hey, let's be like he would have wanted us to be, and let's move forward. Does that make sense? It was
yeah. I think
Pat wanted to celebrate him,
right.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a shift, in the grieving process, if you will, where you're more reactive and letting things come to you, mm-hmm. versus hey, I've done that, and now I want to go out and I want to be active, and start to make moves and do things on my own accord and the way I want to, and like make stuff happen, and I think it's a little cliche, and it's a little like kind of big picture and maybe like woo-wooey a little bit for some people to hear that, but that's really kind of what it is. It's like, I'm not just going to sit back and just kind of let these emotions come and go. I've done that enough. And a lot of athletes felt like, all right, well, now I know where I sit with those, and I need to go start to live my life, be who I am, and do things that I think can honor him in a really big way.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the Tier Cup itself. Cause here's what I think. I think, like I said, CrossFit, the sport, Wodapalooza should lean into this format next season. The team competition, the way it is now for the games, it's not, and the team competition in general is sort of continuing to sort of fade a little bit now that Rich has exited and you don't have that kind of star power. I mean, you still have some big name athletes that trickle in there, but they're towards sort of the back end of their careers. You can't, like, CrossFit will never get rid of the team competition, because that means you're taking an opportunity to compete away from a lot of athletes, plus the money that they pay to be in the open. And I think that competition, the team competition, probably will get spun off into something like we've seen with the Masters and Adaptive. But what I would love to see is the Tier Cup kind of become the new Invitational, and expand it to 4 teams, do Canada, United States, Europe, Pacific, maybe throw like a 5th team in there of LATAM. Sure. That works. That's fine too, because I think that they would go nuts for this. And use it. So, and use the worldwide rankings are kind of a road to nowhere right now. They're neat, but they don't really do anything. Use the worldwide rankings as something that helps determine who's going to be on that roster. Take this, and you have teams of 8. So if you had, let's just keep it at 4 teams, that's 32 athletes that could be represented at this competition. I know that kind of dilutes the talent. Sure, but it also gives everyone a chance.
Yeah.
And tell that story throughout the season of, hey, who would be, if we did this right now, who would be the top 6 athletes to make it on to the United States team? And you still have that captain's choice where they get to choose 2 more. You let the 6 athletes vote on who they think the captain should be, whether that's a current athlete or maybe it's a coach. And that coach gets to make the choice. And then have the competition and make it just make it all about the tier cup, 4 teams head to head over the weekend. Cause I think one of the problems that with this current format, and it's just by nature of just having 2, is that once someone won, it was over. Once someone won the event, the drama's over. That captain's matchup didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have 4 and there's still spots available, like seconds or third,
tiered prize money,
tiered prize money. Now everything means something throughout the entirety of the competition. And look, I just think I love that format. I think what they also need to do too is put limits on how many times you can use people. Because Tia Toomey wound up doing, I think, 9 of the 11 events. You need to have and why wouldn't you?
She's good enough. What if she's good enough?
I know, but I like Chase talked about this on the broadcast. It's like, why make that strategy a little tougher now? Like, when are you going to use her? Because you can only use her for let's say 7 times max. So how are you going to figure that out? There's so much.
I like the thought of limiting the amount that each individual can compete. And Sean, you talk about how maybe it dilutes the overall fitness of the field. But what I really like or would like them to lean into is those head-to-head battles. And I mean, CrossFit is this sport that's well-rounded, but I think this is an environment where you can lean in to specialists, because that's when we see the crazy moments. I mean, Guy lifting, just let him lift as much as he wants to.
Well, that's the thing. You put Guy on the Latin American team, they're going to win an event probably. Right?
Yeah.
So they have a chance.
I mean, one of the most entertaining events for me was watching the Echo Bike, 50 calories, the 50 bar facing burpees, and the 500 meter run, the head battles where people were just selling out, and these individual athletes gaining points on a team format, I think is a really cool thing to lean into with the tier cup.
I might go ahead, Tommy. Do you have any thoughts about that?
I was just going to say, I like that. There's something about me just like, look, if Tia wants to go out there and 9 times and they can't beat her, like, part of me is just like, let her do that. But I do.
She's your wild card. Just keep using it.
It's just like, I mean, even that, because by the end, and this was another thing, and it also comes down to like media coverage and how you promote it. Like, the athletes were just like kind of in awe of her, because it was like, she's just not stopping. Would they just keep rolling her out there, and she keeps beating the brakes off of people. She won her portion of the second to last chipper by like 2 minutes, and she had done more work than anybody out there.
I know.
And I think it was, and I think maybe, and it could be just, it was great for this year, right? Because I think some of the younger athletes got to see like, oh, that is what greatness in this sport really looks like. If I haven't been at the top very long. And like, there are clear levels to this, and that's where the top is. Like, I can see the mountaintop now. And then maybe, going forward, you just limit it, right? But I think that was one of the cooler things, like, just to see athletes that are games athletes on the top of the sport in their own right, just kind of marvel at her.
Oh yeah,
which was super cool.
I think one thing I would change is, if you're going to do teams of 3, don't make it 2 heats and then combine the time. I would do you do teams of 3 of 2 men, 1 woman, 2 women, 1 man, or 1 man. Like, that's how it would kind of, because it got to the point where you're like, some of those events were longer, like especially that the second to last one, I think it was on Sunday, got kind of convoluted.
Yeah.
And the total, I like the total combined time, but I think that's better for individuals because it's easier to keep track of. So the event you were talking about, Lauren, where they did the echo bike, the bar facing burpees, and then the run, that's an easy way you can keep that tally for one person. But I think overall, I think this was a big win for the team competition, and I can't wait to see where they go with it. I really hope it expands to 4 teams, because it would give a lot of athletes, you start getting down to like, if you take the top, top three men, top three women, and then you got to add one more like that. As you get down the leaderboard, like some people who maybe who wouldn't ordinarily get these chances are going to get a chance to shine.
Yeah.
And I love it. I think it would be fantastic. I think people would watch that over a weekend because that was the one thing that, while I love the Invitational and I missed that a lot, it was too short. It was one night. And I think this is the right sort of one weekend is the right way to do it. So, all right.
Big fan.
Yeah.
A lot of legs to grow.
Definitely. And I really, like I said, I'm really looking forward to seeing where this thing goes because I think it's a total win. Okay. Before we get into our conversation with Tom Miazga, we want to thank our other sponsor for today, and that is Vuori, a new perspective on performance apparel that is perfect if you are sick and tired, pardon me, of the same old workout athleisure wear. They have this new Dream Knit collection that is absolutely fantastic. I am wearing their Strato Tech hoodie, and it is unbelievable. I will probably set a record for how long I'm going to wear this consecutively because
I'm head to toe in Dream Knit.
Once you put that stuff on,
I wore it every night.
You don't take it off. It is awesome. And you can go out and run errands in it. You can do yoga. You can work out in them. I got a pair of their dress pants, the AIM pants, and I'm telling you, you put those things on, you can work out in them. Like they're not like your father's, chinos or whatever, khakis or whatever he's rolling around the house in. They're awesome.
Ladies, you want to go to a nice dinner and you're forced to put on a dress. Their dresses are athletic material.
Yes.
So you can still look fancy. You can wear sneakers or heels with it and you are good to go and still comfy. You got all the room to eat at the Brazilian steakhouse.
Yes, that's important. So if you guys go to vuori.com/TEF, you will save 20% on your order right off the bat. vuori.com/TEF. And it's going to get applied at checkout. So this is the only thing I have to apologize for. Once you get your stuff, you're going to be addicted. And then you're just going to keep buying and buying stuff because it's really,
you're going to have to hide the packages from
I've pretty much gotten rid of any other brands of shorts that I have. They're just out because I just love my Vuori shorts so much. Joggers. Yeah. Pretty much all Vuori. I mean, I got a couple of heavier ones that I just right.
Color.
I mean, it's just absolutely unbelievable. So we cannot say enough good things about Vuori. Yeah.
Can you do a high kick like that?
Yeah, I got this. I don't think I can stand up. I got the shorts that ain't gonna work. But anyway, check them out. Vuori.com/TEF. Discount automatically gets applied. It's good for your first order. And hey, listen, the holidays are coming up. I had someone wish me a happy holidays today, and it's September 25th.
You want to talk about things too early? Don't get on pumpkin spice latte. Get on wishing people a happy holiday season.
Is there a holiday going on right now that I don't know about? Like I was sort of taken aback by it. I'm like, happy holidays. It's September 25th.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
I was at my dentist's office and they wished another guy the same thing. And I was like, oh, maybe it's just specific. I don't know.
No chance.
I was like,
there's no holiday.
Happy holidays.
September. Come on.
Yeah. Anyway, great gifts. So vuori.com/TEF. Take care of all your Christmas shopping, knock it out, and holiday shopping like that, man. Done. And people will love what you get them. Let's bring in our guest for today. He is the 8-time seated with hip champion, our good friend Tom Miazga. Tom, how you doing?
I am wonderful. Thank you guys for having me on. It's that's a pretty cool number to hear. Not gonna lie,
and that's
pretty awesome.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that is consecutive, correct?
Those are consecutive. I've been doing CrossFit for 8 years, and we have had 8 years of success at this point.
And look, I don't know if people don't know you, but Tom could probably beat some regularly abled athletes in some workouts. Like I have no problem saying that. He is an absolute savage.
Dynasty. That's the only word that comes to mind.
Yep.
Dynasty.
You guys are too kind to me. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I will definitely say that the games last week were probably one of the most proudest experiences I've had for my own personal performances. It was just an incredible week, and just to see how WheelWOD and CrossFit came together to put on just an incredible spectacle was really humbling to be a part of. So it was a highlight I'll definitely hold on to for a very long time.
Why are you the most proud of this one?
Well, I think for me, it's been quite a year. I just been getting involved in a ton of great things, all things I've very much enjoyed, but that's just put a lot of stress on me just within my own training, my own personal life, just always on the go, probably, not taking care of myself on the recovery side as well as I should. But also just feeling like I've spent a lot of time moving in a different direction in my CrossFit. A few months ago, joined up with Becky Rogers at Training Think Tank. I had been following the programming at their Compete pathway and working with Mike and Max and Adam and the whole staff over there, just kind of when I needed assistance and help. But I really just said, I want to really make sure I'm giving my all this year. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be competing, and I really want to feel like I'm doing everything that I can in my power to optimize what I can in this moment. And so I started with Becky Rogers, Adam's wife, who's also my nutritionist, which has been great. She offered to help jump on with one-on-one programming, and we started in early May. And it was a big 180 in a lot of respects to what I was normally training. And that was awesome. It was a much more therapeutic focus of getting me out of my chair, focusing on better hip function, better core stabilization out of the chair, a lot of tall kneeling things, and a lot more time on strength work that I've always been a Metcon fan, and I love myself a long chipper and cardio. So it was nice to kind of push away from that, but it was also awkward because I'm like, I need a 5-round for timer thing. I need something that's going to get me going for a while. And just instead of sitting underneath this bench press, or, we spend so much time doing a lot of clean positioning and work on how I pop and rock a power clean in my chair. And I didn't do a lot of things over 90% leading up to the games. And then for me to go last week and tie for second place in the 1 rep clean, hit a PR in the process. And then we had a max bench press rep set to open one of our workouts and take the title on that one. Was like, hey, this is really cool to see that all of this work that was a big shift from what I'm normally used to doing really paid off. And I feel like I hit all 7 of my strategies for the workouts as smoothly as I could have. I felt like I went through the weekend as efficiently as possible. I trusted the training, I trusted the process, and it all came to fruition in the most exciting way. And I think overall, I kind of innately have put this pressure on myself that hey, you're pretty good at this and people know you're really good at it. So be good, and I've held myself to a high expectation. And I can remember giving a pretty aggressive fist pump and pumping my chest pretty hard after the last workout, and kind of more of a release of oh, we did it. Mm-hmm. You met your expectations of yourself. You met your personal goals, because I hit every workout the way that I wanted to and came away, whether it meant a win or not, I was just really proud in how I executed all the workouts, and just felt like I couldn't have done any better than what I did in the moment. And that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to, working with a new coach, especially as she's trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, and try to push the limits to new implements. I mean, first of all, Training Think Tank has some of the most, I think, intelligent, nerd out programming coaches, collectively as a group.
Yeah.
But
hands down.
What is that relationship between you and your coach? As she's obviously not in your situation, but trying to push the limits, test new things, and figuring out exactly how to best prepare you for the games and a new format with WheelWOD taking over.
Yeah, what I think was most influential for me was that when I would follow the compete pathway, I was always one of those things where I felt obligated to do everything all the time and do it all as it was written, and just feel like this is the way, this is how it's going to get better for me. And when I started working with Becky, it became so much more apparent that it was so nice to have somebody to be like, Becky, I am not feeling this today. I don't have as much time as I thought I did today. Or, hey, this is going really well. Can we add more? Just being able to be flexible and know that that was okay, and that I can have a rough day or an off day and feel like, hey, let's just shut it down. And Becky would tell me that and be like, it's absolutely fine. And this is okay. It took a lot of the internal pressure out of training a specific way for me to really understand what my body needed in the moment. And that made a huge difference in how the longevity in my training paid off, and how well I performed when it mattered most. So I felt like I was much more in control of my recovery process because of that. But I think even within, within the training itself, when I followed the pathway, I had a bad habit of probably doing the same adaptations for similar movements more often in a week than I should have. For instance, if I ever saw like a front squat progression on the pathway, I would probably do a shoulder press, but then only to find 3 days later that we're doing a shoulder press workout again. And so I ended up kind of repeating a lot of the same movements and not maybe emphasizing the holistic approach to the training that I needed. And that's where Becky was huge, because she just helped me find new ways to adapt the front squat, or to adapt back squats, whatever it may have been for the day, to help make sure I'm not overloading movements in the week and just feel really comprehensive in my training. So that alone made a huge dividend in how I felt like I was performing every week. And I just felt stronger in that regard, because I wasn't blowing my shoulders out. I wasn't blowing up my core all the time, and getting out of the chair and doing more stability work on my knees, or even standing, was just great to give my body a little bit more of a focus towards health, right? And not just competition. And that just made everything cycle a lot better throughout the week. Every time I had to, reset on a Sunday and get ready for the next week.
Go ahead, Tommy. Oh, Tommy's muted. Hang on. Why are you muted? All right.
Oh,
go ahead.
Gotcha. I was say, well, the results speak for themselves, right? I mean, you cleaned 170, so
yeah,
that's something to hang your hat on for sure. But but in terms of the experience at the games, something that we've heard from some of the adaptive athletes in the first couple of years in Madison, that the nature of like their impairment or their life experience can be a bit isolative, and that being at the games and seeing other people with similar impairments or similar nature that are also competing and doing that stuff adds a sense of community they haven't always got before.
Yeah.
This year they've added more divisions. So you for one, you get to compete in person at the CrossFit Games, which is something I don't think you really had the opportunity to do.
Right.
So was that echoed in your experience at all? And if so, like what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I will humbly admit that I'd been envious for a few years of everybody that competed at Madison. Like, I just felt as an athlete, I was on that level, and that I was somebody there that could do that. And I'm like, dude, Kevin, I can put my wheelchair out on that turf. Like, I'll get up on that rope climb mat if I have to. Like, just let me do it. Let me get out there. Like, I can show my worth here. And so I've always wanted that. And getting our athlete jerseys from Northern Spirit on Wednesday at check-in and getting the official pictures and being able to have Jason, my handler, with me as we take those pictures. It was like such a really cool moment to say we finally made it. We were on the same level as the Masters athletes. We weren't stuck at home sending on, videos and making sure that those worked out, an extra variable to, that we don't have, most people don't have to deal with on a championship level. Right. It was really cool just to have that moment. But I think the community in itself, just from the fact that we had 100 athletes at the CrossFit Adaptive Games last year at WheelWod to 276 competing this year. I mean, that alone says community, right? And just to know that there were 9 other individuals in your heats that were under the same, stimulus, under the same circumstances, and had to fight through the same level of disability was fun, because it made it relatable, and it made something that we could all hang our hat on and say, we are the pinnacle of what people try and achieve, and we have this opportunity as an entire group to say, this is what's possible, and this is what could be, what is out there for adaptive individuals. And it doesn't have to be this worldly of success, but Kevin said it best on Wednesday at our athlete briefing that, like, there are so many younger generations right now that are being told that they can't, they shouldn't, and they won't, by doctors, by medical professionals, and people that think that their disability is going to stop them from living. And we had an opportunity there last week to say, that is absolutely not true. We can, and we will, and we absolutely should. And then I just started bawling in that moment, of course. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I'm so pumped, right? But at the same time, it was like, just to think that we had finally come to that level of a platform. I mean, I can remember going to the games in 2017 up in Little Collingwood, Ontario, 90 minutes north of Toronto, with no live footage, no nothing. We're just out in a grass field. And now here we are being broadcast in 2 different languages with commentary from CrossFit, and everyone's able to watch at any time. It was so cool to see that community blossom into what it's become. And I think everyone that didn't have a chance to compete in Madison finally had that moment to say, like, yeah, I felt like I belonged this week. And that was something that I, greatly appreciated.
Yeah. There was, when you and I talked about this before we started recording here, but I talked to Joel Godet I was at the Masters competition. Joel was at the teenage competition. And the feeling was that, yeah, they weren't on the big stage.
Yeah.
But it felt like the right setting. What was the feeling there at the venue amongst the athletes who, got to compete, but they weren't necessarily on the quote unquote big stage?
I think all of us felt like this is like the true beginning of what adaptive CrossFit can look like. Wheelwad has always done a fantastic job. Don't get me wrong. Every year the games have gotten better and better, bigger and more opportunistic. But this is the beginning where we all saw like what this could be. And I think it was really cool to see that, Don Fall, Boz, Dave Castro, Heather Lawrence, they all showed up. They were there. They saw what we were doing and they saw the spectacle that was being created. And I think they were blown away. I know I had a chance to talk with all of them at some point across the weekend, and they were highly impressed by what was going on. And, I think that's what you're going to find with most adaptive athletes is that it's not that we're here trying to put on a show for personal reasons. It's just this true passion for excitement and excitement towards what we do. I love CrossFit. I've been holistically embodied in this ever since I found it in 2017, and I've enjoyed every moment of it, even when it hurts really bad and I don't want to do Fran. It's like we still love it. We still go back and do it. And I think that celebration of opportunity was incredible this year. And I think we all know that we played a significant role in providing opportunity for greater generations moving forward to say that this is something that is going to be around for a long time. And this is something that we want to make steadfast, not only on the competitive level, but just help again show everybody that you can go to your local affiliate and someone will take care of you. Like you can show up and you can say, hey, I have trouble getting out of my wheelchair, and say, no problem. We know how to handle that. We've seen the Adaptive CrossFit Games. We've taken educational courses. We've gone through the movement to know this is what's necessary, because CrossFit's for everybody. And we hope that everybody has that experience too.
Now that you've had many iterations of the CrossFit Games that you've competed in, it seems like, and again, things can always change. We've learned that in CrossFit, but
Right.
It seems like this is a format or a structure that can be sustainable to allow each division to grow. If you're looking at a couple of benchmarks that are really attainable to next year, what are some of those implements that you would see them implementing next year to allow it to continue to grow?
Yeah. The biggest thing I think would be kind of trying to mold a little bit more towards that Masters venue and see if we can get an additional floor. And I know that's asking a lot, because the amount of manpower relative to the amount of work that was done last week, off the charts. The behind the scenes team was, I don't think they slept more than 5 hours in 4 days, just with how much they were doing and how busy they were and how quickly they were working to put out fires and make everything seem seamless to the crowd. It was incredible. I think there needs to be a little bit more volunteer help for it to happen, but I could probably bet that that's something that they're already thinking about. And how can we make this bigger? How can we make this a larger opportunity? And where we were in San Antonio at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center, there's plenty of room for it. There's much more room for space to put another floor if it were to happen. It's just the manpower is necessary to do that. But I think it's out there. I think this is, like I said, the beginning to seeing what's possible for adaptive CrossFit. And then we got to put that on a national and international stage this year that was much more available to a lot of people than it has been in the past. And hopefully that just continues to grow in that regard. And I just really want to see more. What's the right way to say this? I think there's just a lot of opportunity for vendors to see what kind of opportunity there is in the adaptive sphere of CrossFit as well. I've been very fortunate to have some, like, LSKD has been incredible in including me in their community. And I just feel like a family to them. But there's a lot of other brands and companies out there that might see this as a really huge opportunity for them next year to branch out, to open their horizons to new perspectives, and kind of see that there is a larger scheme to CrossFit that might be beneficial for everybody, right? So I think just greater public awareness. Let's do it again next year. Let's run it back and maybe see if we can have another stage to maybe incorporate a couple more workouts across the week. But again, I know that takes a lot of manpower and a lot of effort that I'm sure nobody wants to think about right now. I think everyone's got to get a little rest and reset. But I think I'd be shocked if the opportunity to expand wasn't something already on the mind of all the wheel wad folks.
Yeah, no doubt. And speaking to that a little bit, there were 7 tests across the weekend. If you were a brand and someone that was maybe looking to get a little curious, is there any particular event do you think that stood out to you that you would be like, take a look at that? Like, go check out the live stream, go check out this. This is what's going to go in our pitch deck about what's possible, what's unique, and what can open up some eyes.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody's ever tried to grab a barbell that weighs 240 pounds with one hand and clean it, but that happened, right? I mean, there some of the 1-rep cleans that we saw, whether it was bilateral above the knee amputee, whether it was a single arm individual, a seated individual, there was some serious weight being thrown around. Like, props to my guy Tom Green in our seated 2 division. He pulled up 190 pounds on his clean. Like, I told myself I'm going to retire when I hit body weight. I'm like 185 on a soaking wet day. And I'm just like, the fact that man just did that as effortlessly as he did, I'm genuinely concerned for the rest of us. Like, I mean, it's incredible, but I think that was a great testament. I mean, I've seen so many cool images online of, guys that have, double prosthetics in the bottom of a squat with huge weights on them, trying to drive it up. And just the grit and determination that picture shows is really cool. And then again, the last workout where we saw athletes being tested in high skill movements, we saw, single arm toes to bar. We saw one armed and, or one-legged bar muscle ups and weighted pistols and things like that. I mean, the last workout and the 1-rep clean alone, I think, show you how adaptable CrossFit is in its own regard, that you can still achieve the same stimulus that leaves you, completely bodied on the floor afterward, no matter how it looks. So I think go check out the 1-rep clean for sure. It goes fast. It was a quick workout, but there's a lot of cool opportunity there too.
Yeah. Let's assume that this format is here to stay and that the Adaptive CrossFit Games will be separated again.
Yeah.
What do you think CrossFit can do better in helping to support adaptive athletes and tell those stories throughout the season as we move closer to the games?
That's a great question. I'm probably shooting very large for this.
Do it. Shoot as large as you can.
Shooting for the moon, right? We'll still land among the stars.
We love it.
I would love to see a live semifinals.
Okay.
That would be really cool. I think that would be neat, and if that's something that might be a nice stepping stone for both Wheelwad and CrossFit to work on together, I think it's a really cool way to help influence the level of open participation, because I think if you invite more individuals to a semifinal that may not make the games, there's still that arcing goal of like, I can make it to a live adaptive competition. Like, that would be something that's really neat. A lot of our year, arguably because of the size of what we are right now, has to be online and through video submission. And that's fine. I understand that, but that's like another hanging fruit opportunity for a lot of individuals to say, just as many people that qualify for quarterfinals are like, oh, it would be insane to qualify for semifinals. That would be a really cool opportunity for the Wheelwad community to grow a little bit. And maybe we have 2 different semifinals that it's, you take 8 of our adaptive divisions to 1 on one side of the country, and you take the 8 to the other side, and just have 2 different semifinals across maybe 2 different weekends if it works. But again, that is probably the largest thing that I'm going to probably see Kevin Nogar at my front door pretty soon before he beats me and says, do not bring that up. Because I know that's a lot of manpower. That's a lot of manpower.
I see a shadow behind you. You're going to look over your shoulder.
Yeah. No, I think that would be really neat. But I think CrossFit in itself too, I think it was awesome to have their support this year. I think this was really cool to opening the door to what could be possible and helping build a more steadfast relationship moving forward. I think us using Competition Corner and, having a separate leaderboard for the open probably made more sense, because Wheelwad's had so much experience with so many different divisions that's a lot for, I think, CrossFit to try and process and understand with the current state of how big the, adaptive scene is with the CrossFit. Like, it takes a lot of people on the Wheelwad staff to go through all the videos of 16 different divisions. Right. So, I think that's probably the most, cohesive plan for that right now. But I think, again, like I said, whether it's going to another already hosted event that's happening, or maybe putting in a couple divisions at each of the actual able-bodied semifinals to kind of try and compete, that could be pretty neat too. Maybe you have 3 or 4 adaptive divisions at each of the semifinals where you're taking 15 to 20 athletes to narrow down to 10 for the games, to kind of help provide an opportunity. Or maybe you combine a way to get masters and adaptives together for an in-person semifinal. So it's out there, but again, it's just going to take a lot of time, and I don't want to get too high for our britches when we just had a really great week. I know we're probably biting off a bit more than we can chew right now, but that would be something that I think isn't out of the realm of possible in a couple of years.
Hey, got to put that out there, right? Manifest it in the world.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I'm here for it.
Yeah, and as far as storytelling is concerned, it is something we're going to dive into more as we get time to dig into the weekend as a whole. But I think it's commonplace. Every competition weekend, we walk away with a new story or someone that we didn't know before that kind of stood out. Is there anyone like that for you? Whether it was watching another division casually, or an athlete did something that you're like, wow, that was massive. That kind of like opened your eyes to someone else's journey.
Oh, yeah. There's 275 of them that I can think of. It's hard to narrow it down, honestly. I think what was a little tough in the sense was that I didn't get to see a whole ton, largely just because if you're trying to take care of yourself across the weekend, I was heat 28 of 29. So anybody in basically heats 13 and up, I didn't see because I was at home resting. I was chilling out. We were watching on the live feed. So it was kind of just more of staying in tune and just peeking in. And then I'd warm up, and then we're 4 heats ahead behind the staging area. So you're not really seeing a lot what's going on, in heats for me, like 23 to 26 and stuff. So it gets very busy quickly, but I would say that I haven't had a true chance to watch, let's say, like the intellectual disabilities compete the way they did. And that was fantastic. Not only because did the athletes do an incredible job of, just the athleticism they put out on the floor, but watching them work so closely with their handlers and their assists out there, and just seeing how well they were in sync and coordinated with each other. I mean, that is a true team process out there. And that was really fun to see that, because as a member of the ATA, the Adaptive Training Academy seminar staff, like that's something that we talk about so often, about having somebody in your community that can be there for you, to be a sounding board for opportunity and just kind of help you show what's possible. It was really cool to see that in full force, right out there at the highest level of our sport. Man, you put me on the spot though with that one person. That's so hard.
Yeah, I think that division alone, just bringing up that division is valuable, right? Like it's was just kind of starting to like, hey, here's something to check out to start. And then I think naturally the curiosity and process of discovery will build from there.
Yeah. And, I think it was interesting. And I think we all kind of felt that way, that when you're watching them compete and you're seeing the celebration and the joy, like you love it so much, but how much fun they're having out there. But you also have to respect, like, these are elite athletes too. Like they have proven themselves already 2 times over just to get to this point. And then seeing some of the weights that they were putting up on the cleans and all that stuff was just incredible to watch. And so, just a greater found respect just for, I think, everybody that was there as a spectator or just there to enjoy the experience versus us athletes. I think everybody kind of came together to say, like, this was a true test of fitness for a lot of people that understand that fitness doesn't have to look a certain way to be achieved. And it was really incredible to see the will and the determination for people, whether it was getting their first bar muscle up, it was getting their first toe to bar, finishing a workout that they thought they tried at home that they wouldn't finish. It was all there. Every success story kind of blossomed in its own way. And there's a lot of great media that I know is coming out soon from CrossFit and other, local names that we all know and love that are going to be putting out a lot of great stories too. So we're looking forward to that.
You going to come back next year to make it 9?
Oh God, I knew you'd ask that.
Let's go. 9, you have to do 10.
I know that's the problem too, right?
You can't end on 9.
I mean, I will humbly say that right now I'm not sure. I think it's been a really cool run. It's been really, really fun, and I think with how proud I was of this week and how well I performed, there's a lot of me that says, like, I could go on a very high note right now and be okay with that. I've been really fortunate to have a lot of opportunities in the CrossFit sphere that I think I can now maybe benefit more from the other side. I'd love to help orchestrate those games. I'd love to help be somebody that helps put it together, organize things, whether it's as simple as running a booth over there or helping coordinate judges, or if I'm on the commentary next year, that'd be a lot of fun. But my competitive side, I know my competitive side though is still, it's always itching. I proved to myself that I'm stronger, fitter, faster than I have ever been with the performance that I put on. So I haven't peaked. I haven't gotten to a point to say that like, yeah, that's definitely as much as I can clean, or that's as fast as I can go. There's probably more in the tank. And I think, I'm only 3-4 months into working with Becky. Like, what does a year give us? How far do we go with that? So
more fitness.
I'm going to just drop this out there.
Okay. All right.
Rich Froning has 10 titles combined.
Oh,
there's a chance he's not adding any more, at least as far as I know.
Okay.
And old Tommy Miazga maybe goes for the double uno,
the double digits. Yeah. Oh man,
it maybe becomes the most decorated CrossFit Games athlete of all time. I don't know.
I will say, as the age of 33, I'm not yet a master, so I'm still young.
You're a baby.
I'm a baby, right? Yeah, but
another 50-year-old.
Yeah, right. Yeah, time will tell. I'm going to let you know what I eat for dinner first tonight, and then I'll make another decision after that. That's where we are right now.
Before we let you go, if people want to learn more about the Adaptive Training Academy and what you guys offer, and how is the best way for them to go about doing that?
Absolutely. So you can check out our social media on Instagram, Adaptive Training Academy. Very simple, one big long word. Or check out our website, ata.fit. We typically run a monthly seminar somewhere across the country. We're heading to Houston, back down to Texas next week for one. And then we're out to Maryland in November. But we also have an online cohort as well. So about once a quarter for a 6 weeks period, we'll have a nightly Zoom session as we walk through the coursework you had for the week and talk about the divisions that you were working on for that week. And I'm getting ready to lead our seated cohort tomorrow night. So
nice.
But it's a great opportunity just to learn more about how to provide adaptive athletics, whether it's in a CrossFit gym or just in any sort of fitness arena. CrossFit or any sort of fitness is there and readily available for everybody and everybody. I love saying that. It's something that I hold true to myself because I was very fortunate to have individuals in my life from a young age till now that have shown me what potential I have. And it's such a great way to be able to give back and say thank you by providing that same opportunity to those around me as well. So
that's awesome. Well, Tom, listen, man, congratulations on number 8.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you so much.
If you decide
to call it, here we go.
You're going out on top, and we look forward to seeing what's next. If not, get training, and we'll see you next year, man. But it's always a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for just being the person you are and representing the adaptive community the way you do.
Oh, humbled to be here, guys. Thanks so much.
Huge thanks to Tom Miazga. Love that guy. And listen, if you're a coach, and you should go check out his program, because Logan Aldridge said this to me and Tommy one time. Even if you don't have an adaptive athlete in your gym, if you've had an injured athlete in your gym, you have an adaptive athlete. And learning how to train around that stuff and program around that stuff is an invaluable skill. So definitely check that out. All right, before we wrap up, PRs and no reps. I don't think I have any of them.
I have one no rep.
All right.
It's a fun one.
Me too.
Okay.
It's I'm gonna no rep event 9 of the one that Lauren loved, that I love too, just because I've never seen athletes in that much pain.
Oh, it's amazing.
You had ice bags on people. Like it looked like I
love Brent's vest, his cooling vest, and watching the team put it on him was hilarious.
We said this during our day 3 recap, right immediately after. Dallin was trying to trash talk Brent, and Brent was like huddled in the corner up against a video board. Like I every athlete I talked to, I said, have you ever felt that bad in your life? And they said, no, I've never pushed like that.
Wow.
1, that's a testament to the programming that they were willing to go there.
Mm-hmm.
2, it's also just like, that also kind of means we kind of have to test it,
Nope.
And it's going to hurt. And then I'm afraid of what's
You're repping it? I thought all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna no rep. I'm gonna no rep the pain that's coming as a result of that workout being introduced into the ether.
All right, Lauren.
Oof, I'm gonna no rep my dog Saber. I had all of my like snacks from traveling and like individual bags of overnight oats in a Ziploc bag and, left in the front hall because I live out of my suitcases, not thinking anything of it. And he ate 3 individual bags of protein overnight oats. Imagine if a human did that. Well, Saber Boy, his belly in the middle of the night, I'm woken up at 1 a.m. to the worst smell of my life. I was in basically a hazmat suit cleaning up the destruction that came out of his butthole. It was so bad.
The old thumb over the garden hose.
Wow.
I was like, bleh, bleh, all morning. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a big no rep.
Okay. I don't know where we're going to go from there. How about a PR?
PR.
Okay. I'm just going to lead into it so that everybody blacks out because this is the best PR. Guys, I know Sean specifically. Do you see what is on your screen?
Shirley Temple 7-Up.
Shirley Temple 7-Up. I don't know if I'm giving a shout out on a CrossFit podcast to Big Cola. Does Cola, Coca-Cola, Big Soda, whoever they are, one of them owns this.
We'll allow it.
They are going to have a Shirley Temple 0 coming out for the holidays, maybe late October in all of your favorite retailers. I cannot wait. I'm probably going to buy stock in it and I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to stock up. And if anybody comes to my house, we can enjoy Shirley Temples out of the can. I'll have maraschino cherries to put in the glass to really spruce it up. Maybe a little flower or something fun in there to really make it fancy.
I don't want to.
I don't even know what to say
anymore. Yeah. Tommy PR, how are you going to follow that?
Well, I mean, that's Lauren to a T. She's the Shirley Temple queen.
Mm-hmm.
My PR is going to be Pat Vellner because of motivational tactics for event number 9. So Down Pepper posted this yesterday.
So good.
I don't know if you've seen
this. Can you pull it up, Sean?
Yeah, Down Pepper. Let me share my screen.
It's so good.
Let's see. I'm just going to read it for you.
Right.
Down Pepper posted a text thread. You can go check it about the motivation that Pat sent him before he had to do that awful monostructural single modality trio 3-headed beast. So Down writes, swipe to see strong leadership from our captain, Pat Vellner. Pat told me this the day the monostructural test was announced, and I thought about that warm hug for a month straight. Pat goes, I take different leadership styles with everyone. For you, I withhold my love. And Down goes, must be earned. And then Pat goes, the hug that you will receive at the finish line will be representative of your performance. I could sweep you off your feet into a warm state of bliss that makes you never want to leave my bosom. Or perhaps a chilling hands around the neck struggle snuggle awaits you. And my face is the last thing you see as your world plunges into darkness. Choice is yours. Either way, finish line going to be lit.
I love it.
Perfect.
That's fantastic.
And what does Down do?
And then it has a picture of their hug.
At the finish line, yes.
I'm trying to swipe it. Whoops.
Gotta scroll back.
It's not letting me.
Oh yeah. But at the end, Pat's lifting Dallin up after the competition because he won.
All right, here.
And Dallin had an excellent effort.
All right. That's a good
50 calories in the assault bike in 38 seconds.
That was big.
Won the burpee portion and won the run portion. So hats off. Motivational tactic.
Well, that is going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for listening. Thank you to Tom Miazga for joining us again. Thank you to our sponsors, Box Basics. Head to shopboxbasics.com. Use our code TEF. You will save 20%. Thank you to Viore. Viore.com/TEF. Discount automatically applied for checkout. For Lauren Khalil and Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland. Take care of each other. Be better. And we will talk to you guys next time.
At the start of a first date, if it's good, I don't want to wait. When the feeling's right, I'm taking everything.